KNPC has been a story of success since establishment in 1960. This success relies on steady growth and calculated transformation processes driven by an updated mission, vision, and values, but always in alignment with strategic objectives. In the 1960s, KNPC doubled its fuel retail marketing outlets, helping the country to cope with the growing demand of the population as a result of urban expansion and demographic increase. After modernization projects, the refinery operated at total capacity of 466,000 barrels per day. The refinery control room is the place where operators can monitor and control operations and safely start up and shut down units remotely. Petroleum products from Mīnāء الأحمدي refinery are exported from two piers, the North Pier and the new South Pier, the state-of-the-art terminal which was commissioned in 2005. The piers consist of 11 berths that can accommodate several tankers of different weights at the same time. Meanwhile, the old South Pier was upgraded to import LNG for power plants, while LPG plants were expanded by commissioning the fourth gas train to increase the capacity to 2,485 million standard cubic feet per day. KNPC is adding the fifth gas train to raise capacity to 3.3 billion standard cubic feet per day. Molten sulfur, as a byproduct, is channeled through heated pipelines from Shu'aibah and Mīnāء Abdullah refineries to sulfur handling complex in Mīnāء Ahmadi refinery, where it is solidified, fractionated, and exported to international markets.
And we are back with you, dear viewers, and with engineer Salih الجطيلي, team leader, process engineering, MAA facilities for treatment of liquid sulfur produced by KOC. And you see, we just checked a little bit about the sulfur, the yellow one, if you can see it. But before we talk all about the details, how about we say good morning to our engineer and team leader, and welcome to the sunshine.
Good morning, and thank you for giving us this opportunity to attend with you guys here today to talk about the recent accomplishment of Kuwait National Petroleum Company in terms of commissioning the latest project, which is basically molten sulfur receiving at Mīnāء الأحمدي refinery.
And you are most welcome, and thank you for joining us this morning. We are delighted that you are with us, and you and your colleague also, engineer, and also Ayad. So today we speak about, we already see in the report about, we call it the sulfur treatment unit, MAA. Tell me more about the role of this project.
So let's take a step back and let's talk about where do we get the sulfur and why do we produce it. As part of the hydrocarbon processing scheme within the state of Kuwait, KNPC takes the role of processing and refining the Kuwaiti crude in addition to the natural gas produced by our sister company, KOC. Yes. So the gas and crude comes to the KNPC with the contaminants of sulfur content. What we do is we extract that sulfur to enhance our product specification and convert that sulfur from hydrogen sulfide into molten sulfur, in which we process it further, transfer it and converting it from molten sulfur to granular sulfur, which will be easier to handle, store, and export eventually. The whole process is major collaboration between us and Kuwait Oil Company in these terms, where the molten sulfur at the moment, part of it is produced in the fields and process units at Kuwait Oil Company. So when we receive it in KNPC, we receive it in special facilities where through trucks, of course, maintained at certain temperature to maintain in the liquid form. We transfer it, we store it, then we start the processing facility at KNPC, eventually to get to the final product, which is granular sulfur, ready for export to the international markets.
So international markets, great project, great process from KNPC.
Yes, it is, and it is the integration between KNPC and KOC to achieve such a great goal. So what is the production capacity, engineer, of the new unit?
The new facility basically is part of a much bigger facility within Mīnāء الأحمدي refinery.
Yes.
This facility can receive up to 1,000 plus tons per day of molten sulfur. in which we, as I said earlier, we take that molten sulfur, we take it through granulators to transfer it from molten to a small billets, basically beads. We store it and make it ready for export. Of course, this process, although it seems very simple, but it is very complex, where a certain temperatures need to be maintained through the whole process to ensure the product reach the final shape within a very certain specification and size. So it's a very delicate situation.
So it is a huge situation. I think that is a big step.
It is a big step. It is basically the whole project is the realization of KNPC values. One of our major commitments is toward HSE,
Yes.
health, safety, and environment.
Yes.
So in those terms, and to ensure our commitment, we need to make sure that we meet Kuwait EBA regulations.
Yes.
And to meet that, we need to make sure that all contaminants are removed from all streams before they go to the markets. So one of those contaminants, as I said earlier, is the liquid sulfur.
Yeah.
So by removing the sulfur, treat it and make it a side product that is ready for the market to be absorbed,
Wow.
that's one of our major accomplishments, actually. And we are proud of doing that.
And
We
we are very
are
proud
proud,
of you.
yes.
And also we see already the glimpse about when the molten
molten-
sulfur
Yeah, what
unloading
we
it.
see here is the receiving area where the trucks comes for unloading the molten sulfur after being loaded in KOC. So yes, this is a very complex unit.
I see already your smile when you see already the glimpse of the project. I know how much you are working hard, you and also your working crew and everyone who's watching us from your colleagues in this place. So let's talk about now the treatment of the facilities, because I know the engineers
Yes.
always eager. We talk about the zones, we talk about the capacity. So what about the treatment? How can we already know more about the project? How can the facilitation?
As I mentioned earlier, the molten sulfur is received from KOC via trucks. It comes to Mīnāء الأحمدي refinery, maintained at a certain temperature at 130 degrees centigrade to maintain and ensure it is in liquid form.
Okay.
We unload it into an underground sulfur bit, what we call it is just a big bit, just to receive that. Then we transfer it to a storage tanks, still in the process in the liquid form, where again we maintain it at that temperature. Then we take it gradually through granulators, what we call them short form GX units,
Okay.
where with a certain vibration of water sprays and rotating equipment, we convert it into a very small billets of 2 to 4 millimeters beads, basically.
So small.
Very small, yes.
So small, tiny things for big thing.
Yes, it is. And if we want to say, how about after, if we say the prominent technologies provided through those new steps?
If we go back in the history, when I joined 22 years ago, the sulfur was produced in the final form as a flakes.
Yes.
So at that time, it's very difficult to transfer, very difficult to handle. It generates a lot of dust. But with the new technology that we adopted in this project, and recently in another project, which is the major project commissioned in 2017, which is sulfur handling facility, the major facility itself, we managed to ensure that all the sulfur is maintained in very specific form that's easier to handle, reduce the dust generation greatly, so we don't add to the contamination of the environment, maintaining the air quality around the refinery and around the facility. So by doing that, with the new facility, we have managed to do that.
Wow. Let me just clear something. When we say the dust of the sulfur, those are contaminated dusts, right?
Sulfur by definition is not a very solid material. So it doesn't have that resistance to crash.
Okay.
So the minute you start transferring it, when they start to rub against each other, they start to produce that amount of sulfur dust during the transfer itself. So it's become very critical to ensure that and monitor the transfer process itself using various between chemicals, temperatures, and transfer rates to ensure that the dust generation maintained at very minimum levels.
Wow, this is really great, because you see, Abdulaziz, they are not just ensuring that they are doing the process of the sulfur. No, at the same time, they worry about the environment.
Because usually engineers worrying about the safety, about the environment, about the ensuring everyone is safe during the working place, because this is like the fields. The fields always have too many challenges. So let's talk about now the permanent technologies providing through the new unit. Tell me more, Engineer Saleh.
let us just take one more step to what you just mentioned. KNPC is very committed towards environment, and part of our commitment reflects in our belief in our values. And that values, as I said, one of those values is HSE commitment. So we are really very committed in that. And we've spared no effort, no technology that can help us to reduce our and enhance our operation in terms of refining the crudes, refining the gas, and processing it within the refineries.
Okay.
So what sort of technology we have adopted, as I mentioned earlier, what we recently introduced in this project is the new design for what we call a GX, a granulator unit, which basically takes the molten sulfur and converts it into a granular and solid forms of the sulfur, which is basically helped us to ensure that the product reached to the final end, to the last customer, in very good situation, very good conditions, without having to generate dust, whether here in the state of Kuwait or at the end port for the customer. In addition to those facilities, also adopted the latest technologies in terms of the HSE, monitoring stations, control systems. All of those we have adopted the state of the art within the state of Kuwait.
So state of art, and they also care about the environment and also the facilitation and the technologies of the unit.
Yes, and you are really exporting all of those sulfurs to other countries, right?
Yes.
Can you elaborate about that? Yes, a little bit.
After we finished converting the molten sulfur into granular sulfur, we start through our international marketing arm in KBC to arrange for the ships to take the product. And currently we have 2 export facilities through Shaiba port and through Ahmadi port. Each of them is capable of handling all the quantities, basically. So today in the situation, the market is much better favoring for us. So we are able to export all our material, and we don't face any problem with that.
That is marvelous. Abdulaziz, I think this is great because you see, we've got 2 ports to transport and let's say not export instead of importing.
And exporting and importing, but there's something very important. We say in the end, one hand cannot clap. So you are a teamwork working together for the project. Even your already colleague is here and you have too many people working there still in the unit. Tell me more about this amazing experience for the young generation with you working in the project.
To talk basically about this project is to talk about all the challenges we have been facing during the last 2 years. Since the corona started, it imposed a very challenging environment, whether it's in the project teams where they had to work with the contractors to ensure the construction is completed within the time frame set, or the commissioning teams, basically from operation, from all the supporting department, from maintenance, quality assurance, technical services, to ensure the project commissioned smoothly without any interruption. It was very challenging times, especially where we had to work and rely on our expertise and our manpower, KNPC, to ensure that the project commissioned smoothly. It was very difficult. It's not an easy ride. But we are proud of what we have achieved. If you look into what we have achieved as a KNPC in the last 18 months, starting from March 2020, in the beginning of the corona, with the commissioning of the clean fuel project, Mīnāء الأحمدي package, then proceeding with the commissioning of the acid gas plant in September 2020, and recently complete commissioning of the clean fuel project, and currently with this project. It's been a very challenging ride. It's not easy, but what we have accomplished within KNPC manpower is really something remarkable. And being of that team is something that I'm really proud of.
And also we are also proud of them also, Emil. See?
Yes, indeed.
Big team to do this amazing result.
Well, challenges. This is the amazing thing, challenges. And you have achieved through that challenges, through those challenges. And this is the message that I think each and everyone would like to really pass on. Wherever there is a challenge and wherever there is a will, there is a way. And those challenges has been put there to conquer and achieve after that. Thank you very much, Engineer Salih Al-Jutayli, Team Leader, Process Engineering, MAA, Facilities for Treatment of Liquid Sulfur, produced by KOC. Collaboration between entities and institutions all over Kuwait would give us really high praise. Thank you. And how about we continue the segments of Sunshine after this break?